Chapter 691. For a time, everyone's eyes fell on the counter, choosing the pills they needed. Before they left for the Qing dynasty, they had prepared a lot of money. If they encountered something they needed here, they could buy it. Bailey Hongzhuang also looked at the pills here, but did not have the idea of buying. After all, she was an alchemist herself. However, just as Xia Jiqing and others were shopping, a familiar and provocative voice sounded from behind them. Oh, I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be a guy who can't even prove his identity. Lu Jingqi's eyes were filled with pride and sarcasm. Yesterday, due to the presence of the mentor, she did not have the opportunity to ridicule Bailey Hongzhuang and others. Today, they only thought that Wubao Pavilion was very famous and wanted to take a look. They did not expect to meet here again. What a coincidence! Bailey Hongzhuang and others slowly turned around. After seeing the cultivators of Beihai College, their faces changed a bit. I didn't look at the almanac when I went out today. As soon as I came out, I encountered some eyesores. It really affects my mood. Xia Jiqing did not hesitate to fight back. She was not a person who would suffer in silence. Xia Jiqing, you are really eloquent. Lu Jingqi's eyes were gloomy, but she soon became calm again. It's much better than some people who are blocked outside the door and can't get in. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Lu Jingqi indifferently and turned to Xia Jiqing. Why bother with mad dogs? They like to bark. Do you want to accompany them? She was really annoyed with this group of guys who only knew how to find trouble. Wherever she went, they would appear. They were simply annoying flies. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Xia Jiqing could not help but give a thumbs up. When Hongzhuang opened her mouth, it was really awesome. You're right. Just let them bark. Why bother with them? Xia Jiqing smiled and nodded, then turned around and continued to choose pills. Lu Jingqi and the others' faces became very ugly. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were too vicious. Originally, they were the ones who had the upper hand and mocked Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang's words put them in an awkward position. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't go too far. Lu Jinglin couldn't help but say. Bailey Hongzhuang laughed mockingly. Miss Lu's words are really interesting. From the beginning to the end, you were the one who came looking for trouble. Now you're asking me not to go overboard. Your logic is really strange. Bailey Hongzhuang looked coldly at Lu Jingqi and the others and said, If you want to spar, just say it and we will accompany you to the end. If you don't want to spar, then shut your mouths obediently, lest you attract more trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were harsh. This group of people who liked to stir up trouble, if she didn't say it here, they would continue to cause trouble. As soon as these words came out, Lu Jingqi and the others looked at each other. It was difficult to hide their embarrassment. They couldn't help but look at Xiao Lanmei, but they saw that Xiao Lanmei had already gone to the counter to choose pills and was not in the team. Obviously, Xiao Lanmei had no interest in what they were doing. As for fighting, if the last thing happened again, Lu Jingqi would really collapse. Chapter 692. It didn't take long for Xia Jiqing and the others to choose their pills and turn to the second floor of Wubao Pavilion. I heard that Wubao Pavilion's weapons are very famous. If you don't have a suitable weapon, you can choose one or two here. Zhang Yunfeng's pretty face showed a happy expression. For cultivators, this weapon was extremely important. Xia Jiqing and the others also showed a look of interest. As their strength gradually increased, some weapons were no longer suitable for them. They really needed to buy a more suitable weapon. I don't know how many weapons Wubao Pavilion has, but it shouldn't let us down. Dongfang Yu smiled, his amorous peach blossom eyes exuding a charming charm. However, when everyone saw the dazzling array of weapons on the second floor, their eyes couldn't help but show a touch of amazement. The number of weapons was beyond their expectations. Swords, spears, sticks, whips, everything was available here. Different levels, different prices, just by looking at the annotations, one could understand at a glance. Do you want to buy weapons? A female attendant walked in front of everyone, her delicate face filled with a polite smile, making people unable to help but take a second look. I want to buy a sword, Cui Haoyan said. His sword had been used for some years, and now there were 2 faint dents on the edge of the sword. It was no longer suitable. He had already wanted to change his sword earlier, but he had never found a suitable one. There were so many weapons in Wubao Pavilion, and he also hoped to find a suitable sword for himself. Young master, please come with me. The attendant smiled, slightly bowed, and slightly raised her left hand, motioning Cui Haoyan to follow her. Zhang Yunfeng also accompanied Cui Haoyan to choose a suitable sword. As for the others, they were looking at the weapons in Wubao Pavilion. With so many treasures gathered here, it could be seen how strong the background of Wubao Pavilion was. If there was no strong background, it was impossible to create such a Wubao Pavilion. Here, it was a martial artist's treasure pavilion. Xia Jiqing's eyes fell on a fiery red whip in front of her. This whip was extremely tough, and the color was beautiful. It was very good. Jiqing, this whip is very suitable for you, Zhang Yunfeng said with a smile. Xia Jiqing smiled slightly, but after her eyes fell on the high price, she reluctantly put down the long whip. She was not favored in her family and did not have much money. She could not afford these things for the time being. Lu Qinyue had been following Gong Shaoqing. Since yesterday, Gong Shaoqing said that she was his fiancée. Lu Qinyue's heart was very happy. Even if it was fake, she still felt that her relationship with Gong Shaoqing was one step closer. Zhang Yunfeng, Bailey Hongzhuang and Xia Jiqing stood in a row. Looking at Lu Qinyue, who was like a little tail behind Gong Shaoqing, the 3 of them couldn't help but sigh. Why bother? Lu Qinyue really likes Gong Shaoqing. Gong Shaoqing only helped her yesterday, and she was already extremely excited. Zhang Yunfeng shook her head and sighed. She and Gong Shaoqing had known each other for a long time. She was very clear that Gong Shaoqing only saw Lu Qinyue as a younger sister. However, Lu Qinyue never understood this point. Chapter 693. Miss Lu is beautiful, strong, and an alchemist. I don't know why Bai Shaoqing doesn't like her. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with a helpless light. This kind of situation made her sigh. With Xia Jiqing's voice falling, Zhang Yunfeng's eyes couldn't help but fall on Xia Jiqing's body, and a sly smile appeared on her face. Jiqing, in my opinion, this Bai Junyu is also very good to you. I don't know if you have any thoughts? As soon as these words came out, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but be stunned. Yunfeng, what nonsense are you talking about? There is nothing between Bai Junyu and me. Bailey Hongzhuang also chuckled and touched Xia Jiqing's shoulder. Look, Bai Junyu is looking at you. Xia Jiqing couldn't help but look at the place where Bai Junyu was. Sure enough, Bai Junyu smiled at her. Seeing this, Zhang Yunfeng and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other, and their hearts were a little funny. As early as not long after school started, they had already discovered that Bai Junyu was not just interested in Xia Jiqing, but Xia Jiqing seemed to be unaware of it. You are all talking nonsense, humph? Xia Jiqing left a sentence and ran to other places to look for weapons. In this regard, Bailey Hongzhuang and Zhang Yunfeng also smiled helplessly. It seems that Bai Junyu wants to pursue Jiqing. I'm afraid it will take a lot of time. Zhang Yunfeng smiled and sighed. If you really like her, it doesn't matter if you spend some more time. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and picked up the long whip that Xia Jiqing had put down before. Although she and Jiqing were good sisters, she didn't ask much about Jiqing's family background. Now it seemed that it should be similar to her. Cui Haoyan was very happy. He finally found a weapon in Wubao Pavilion. With this weapon, his combat effectiveness could be improved a little. As for Gong Shaoqing and the others, they didn't need to buy new weapons. Their weapons were very handy and they didn't need to buy new ones. Then, everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on the stairs to the 3rd floor. There are inscriptions for sale on the 3rd floor. I have only heard of inscriptions, but I have never seen inscriptions with my own eyes," Zhang Yunfeng said with a smile. Lu Qinyue's face was also filled with emotion. Inscriptionists are extremely rare. This Wubao Pavilion even sells such rare things. It is really amazing. Let's go up. If we can have inscriptions for weapons, that would be great. Cui Haoyan had just bought a new weapon, and he was very happy. If he could buy a suitable inscription for this weapon, then his combat strength would increase by more than one level. Just when everyone's as excited SSS, Yunfeng's have some guests SS, T disturb su T distura, Uri ts T have T disturb T Yunfeng S's T. They, SSS. They teat ts. It. Chapter 694. The third floor of Wubao Pavilion was not as spectacular as the first and second floors. The so-called inscription shop was just a small counter. Compared to selling inscriptions, Bailey Hongzhuang felt that it was more like a tea house. The decoration was very elegant and there was a little tea fragrance. On the tea table, 3 old men with white beards were facing each other with flushed faces. Clearly, they were arguing endlessly over a certain issue. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation and knew that the 3 old men must be inscriptionists. Now that they were arguing endlessly, it must be because of academic problems. It could be seen that the 3 inscription masters put all their energy into inscriptions. Otherwise, they would not be arguing with each other. Looking at the counter on the side, she thought that the inscriptions here should be drawn by the 3 inscription masters. However, it was obvious that the 3 inscription masters did not draw inscriptions for sale. They just took some inscriptions here to support themselves. Maybe it was to fulfill their agreement with the owner of Wubao Pavilion. Otherwise, the third floor of Wubao Pavilion would not be like this. The waiter at the counter could not help but smile when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. "Are you here to buy inscriptions?" Gong Shaoqing and the others nodded. Their eyes fell on the inscriptions on the counter. There were not many inscriptions here. They could only see a pattern, but they did not understand what it was used for. "What kind of inscriptions do you want to buy? You can tell me, I can help you." The waiter smiled. Gong Shaoqing and the others' eyes lit up. It was well known that inscriptions could improve the combat effectiveness of weapons. It was an excellent aid for cultivators. Just as everyone was thinking about the inscriptions that were suitable for them, a group of cultivators from Beihai College also came up. They were also very interested in the inscriptions of Wubao Pavilion. Usually, they did not have the opportunity to buy inscriptions. At this moment, seeing that the cultivators of Kanglin College were already choosing inscriptions, they also hurriedly squeezed in. They absolutely could not let the people of Kanglin College choose all the good inscriptions. The Inter-Academy tournament was just around the corner. With an additional inscription, their performance at that time would be much better. How could they just sit back and watch their opponents improve? "We also want to buy inscriptions," Lu Jingqi said hurriedly. It was as if the inscription would disappear if she spoke one word later. The waiter said, "Our Wubao Pavilion has a rule that we can only sell 1 inscription per day." Hearing the attendant's words, everyone was stunned. They didn't know that Wubao Pavilion had such a rule. Didn't that mean that out of all the people present, only 1 person could buy the inscription? But so many of us want to buy it. Who is the inscription going to be sold to? Gong Shaoqing had a questioning look in his eyes. The rules of the inscription sale were really strange. There should be a reason for it. There are 2 rules. As long as one of you can answer my question, this inscription will be given to you for free. If you can't answer, then only the highest bidder will get it. There was a faint smile on the attendant's face. Obviously, he was very familiar with this situation. "You guys came early today, so this inscription has not been sold yet." Chapter 695. What question? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes showed a look of interest. This Wubao Pavilion's question was really strange. Only by answering the question would they be able to give it away for free. Presumably, this question would not be easy to answer. Everyone's eyes fell on the waiter. The next moment, the waiter directly took out a piece of paper and placed it in front of the crowd. He said, "This is the question. When making the inscription liquid, how do the green spirit wood stone and the tailless flower stone dissolve?" When everyone saw this question, they were all dumbfounded. They did not have the slightest understanding of inscription technique. Not to mention this question, they did not even know what the green spirit wood stone and the tailless flower stone were. This kind of question, besides the inscription masters, no one can answer it. Xia Jiqing could not help but sigh. She knew that this question would not be simple, but this question was too difficult. Lu Jingqi and the others also looked at each other. They did not know what this thing was, so the answer was impossible. Seeing everyone's expression, the waiter was not surprised. In fact, the questions written by the three inscription masters were basically impossible for anyone to answer. However, inscriptions were very precious. It was naturally not a simple matter to take it away without spending a single penny. Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a burst of laughter after seeing this question. The inscription master who made this question was clearly trying to embarrass everyone. Even those who had a little understanding of inscription techniques would not be able to answer it. If she guessed correctly, the inscription master had an ulterior motive for making this question. From the beginning to the end, he never thought of giving away the inscription for free. Raising this question was just to let everyone back off. If there was no such rule, she was afraid that many people would complain about only selling one inscription per day. As a result, it directly diverted everyone's attention. Who can answer this kind of question? In my opinion, it's better to go directly to the highest bidder, Xue Haolang said. Obviously, no one present could answer this question. Xia Jiqing and the others' eyes could not help but fall on Xue Haolang. It seemed that Xue Haolang was best at throwing money. However, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said, "Who said that no one can answer this question?" As soon as she said this, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. Could it be that Hongzhuang had a solution to such a complicated problem? Bailey Hongzhuang, don't try to be brave, be careful not to become a joke. Lu Jingqi sneered. An inscription master was in existence that many people could not come into contact with. It was absolutely impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to know about it. Xiao Lanmei looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. This was not the time to be in the limelight. In fact, no one could answer this question except inscriptionists. Xia Jiqing and the others were also puzzled. They only knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was an alchemist, but they never knew that she had an understanding of inscription technique. Grind the green spirit wood stone and the tailless flower stone, add the juice of the green vine tree, and cook it in a fire, then it will be dissolved. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. Lu Jingqi and the others saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was so confident, but they were also skeptical. What juice of the green vine tree? They had never heard of it. Chapter 696. Lu Jingqi and the others looked at Bailey Hongzhuang doubtfully. What she said couldn't be true, right? The waiter also had a stunned expression. So far, no one had been able to answer the questions here, but today someone had actually answered it. Waiter, if what she said is wrong, you can say it directly, don't worry about it. Lu Jingqi said. Although she felt that what Bailey Hongzhuang said was very reasonable and did not seem to be nonsense, she did not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could really answer the questions about inscriptions. The cultivators of Beihai College didn't take it to heart. It was simply impossible to answer. However, the next answer of the waiter made them dumbfounded. The girl is right. The waiter's face showed an amazed smile. I did not expect the girl to have dabbled in inscriptions. The girl can choose any inscription and take it away for free. Everyone stared blankly at Bailey Hongzhuang. Was there a mistake? She actually answered correctly. Was Bailey Hongzhuang not blindly answering the questions before? Wow, Hong Zhuang, you are really amazing. Xia Jiqing's face was full of excitement. If it were not for the noise on the third floor of the Wubao Pavilion, she would have jumped up directly. Too cool. The cultivators of Beihai College were completely defeated. In the eyes of Gong Shaoqing and the others, there was a thick color of astonishment. They did not know when Bailey Hongzhuang had dabbled in inscriptions. The cultivators of Beihai College looked embarrassed, but their hearts could not help but be amazed. They did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to have an understanding of inscriptions. It seemed that they had underestimated her. Lu Jingqi was very unhappy, but also somewhat envious of Bailey Hongzhuang. Inscriptions were very difficult to buy on ordinary days, not to mention the inscriptions of the Wubao Pavilion were not ordinary inscriptions. It was very expensive to buy one, but now Bailey Hongzhuang could take it away for free. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's next words made the practitioners of Beihai College stunned again. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xia Jiqing and the others and said, "You can look around and see if there are any suitable inscriptions. Whoever finds the right one can take it." "Hongzhuang, don't you want it?" Zhang Yunfeng was surprised. This inscription was very helpful to practitioners. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head slightly. "My sword is not suitable for inscriptions yet." Hearing this, Zhang Yunfeng and the others also understood that with the level of the Lu Li sword, these inscriptions might not be suitable. If he casually used an inscription, he might destroy the glazed sword. "Take a look. Whoever finds the most suitable one can take it." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. They were not people who liked to take advantage of others. Although there were many inscriptions here, they might not be suitable for everyone. Only after understanding the attributes of the inscriptions would they know whether they were suitable or not. When her voice fell, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but walk towards the three old men who were quarreling. She was very curious about what the three old men were quarreling about. Lu Jingqi and Lu Jinglin's eyes were also filled with an incredible look. Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent appearance was obviously not fake. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang really did not want this inscription? But the result was already obvious. Wasn't this too generous? Chapter 697. Having said that, the cultivators of Beihai College felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was stupid, but at the same time, they secretly envied the cultivators of Kanglan College. If they could get an inscription because of this, it would be too cost-effective. There was only one inscription, presumably the Tsang Lan College's cultivators would argue over it. Bailey Hongzhuang thought that she had done a good thing, but she didn't know that it was likely to cause a split in their team. Lu Jingqi and others looked at each other, waiting to see the next joke. However, what happened next exceeded their expectations once again. The cultivators of Kanglan College not only did not have the slightest dispute, but on the contrary, everyone was extremely modest. This kind of modesty from the heart was absolutely not fake. Lu Jingqi and others could understand at a glance, and their hearts were even more surprised. This was really too strange. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly approached the three old men who were arguing and gradually heard what they were saying. "I said, it should be black gold ore and fiery ardent stone ground into powder, then mixed with the condensate, and steamed with a flame of 60 degrees. The old man in white said, "Old Li, your method won't work. The fiery ardent stone is very violent. If it is steamed with a flame of 60 degrees, it is likely to explode." On the other side, an old man in a gray robe said with a serious face, "Old Ji, the fiery ardent stone is indeed violent, but the concentration of the condensate can be increased, which can get rid of the possibility of explosion, but I think 60 degrees is not enough. Can't mix the two together well." Another old man in a black robe also expressed his opinion. "You are all wrong, there is absolutely no problem with my method." Bai Jingtian waved his hand. His expression was unusually calm. He had been thinking about this method for a long time, and there was absolutely no problem. "Old Bai, you are too arbitrary. If there is a sudden explosion, what should we do?" Ji Yanma shook his head. They were already old bones, they could not withstand such a toss. This old man has lived to this age, what things have I not seen? Even if it really explodes, bah! It's impossible for it to explode. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but smile when she heard the three old men arguing. She didn't expect the seniors to still be like children at their age. How interesting! At this moment, Bai Jingtian and the others noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's approach and immediately said, "Where did this little girl come from? You can't understand these things. Let's go, we still have things to do." Ji Yanma waved his hand, motioning Bailey Hongzhuang to leave quickly. He didn't care about anything else, but if the young people saw them quarreling like this, wouldn't it be a joke? These old fellows have quite the temper. Xiao He pursed its lips in dissatisfaction. It was not willing to listen to such things that it did not understand at all. This movement also attracted the attention of Lu Jingqi and the others. Lu Jingqi immediately walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and said, "The seniors have important things to discuss, why don't you leave quickly?" These three were all famous inscription masters in the Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to be in the limelight and dared to come here. Chapter 698. Greetings to the Masters. Lu Jingqi's face was filled with a pleasant and well-behaved smile. She was just like a very outstanding young lady. This Lu Jingqi is really shameless. She won't let go of any opportunity to show off. Xiao Bai frowned. This kind of show-off girl wanted to step on the master to win the favor of the inscription masters. We must not let this annoying woman succeed. Xiao Hei's face was full of indignation. If this kind of girl stole the limelight, it was simply unbearable. Seeing Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai so excited, Bailey Hongzhuang also smiled. The three masters are all experienced people. At a glance, you can see what Lu Jingqi is up to. It is impossible to let her succeed. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that since the three inscription masters could argue over such a problem, it could be seen that they were all devoted to inscription. In her previous life, she often spent time with these old men who pursued progress. They were not so sophisticated. On the contrary, they were very simple. However, once they were provoked, they would not care about the other party's face at all. However, in her eyes, such old men were very cute. Bai Jingtian and others glanced at Lu Jingqi faintly, but did not speak. There were countless people who tried to make friends with them, but they were too lazy to pay attention to them. It was just that this girl belittled others to show off. This kind of behavior was really despicable. Go! Ji Yanma waved his hand. Apparently, he did not intend to say anything more. Seeing the attitude of the three inscription masters, Lu Jingqi was also a little disappointed, but it was not beyond her expectations. After all, without enough identity and status, it was extremely difficult to make friends with inscription masters. Lu Jingqi turned around, but saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had not left. She could not help but say, "Why are you still here?" Bailey Hongzhuang did not even bother to look at Lu Jingqi. This girl was invisible in her eyes. With a faint smile on her lips, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on Bai Jingtian and others. She said, "Seniors, are you sure you want me to leave? If I really leave, I'm afraid you'll regret it." As soon as these words came out, the eyes of Bai Jingtian and the other two all fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. She is a beautiful girl, but she dares to speak such nonsense in front of us. Quickly leave. Bai Jingtian said angrily. What he hated the most was that someone dared to interrupt them when they were discussing. Once their train of thought was interrupted, they might not be able to get it back for many days. "If you don't leave, I'll find someone to chase you away." Ji Yanma's expression was also unfriendly. It seemed that they had been friendly for too long, and many people did not know how powerful they were. Lu Jingqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang speechlessly. This woman was really an idiot. She dared to say such words in front of the three inscription masters. Wasn't she looking for death? In her opinion, this Bailey Hongzhuang was most likely crazy about being in the limelight. The fiery ardent stone is very violent, and the black raven gold ore is relatively cold. One is cold and the other is hot. When the two come into contact with each other, they are like water and fire. Even if the condensate can neutralize a little, it can't be completely integrated. Only by adding another material can it be successfully integrated. Chapter 699. The more Bai Jingtian and the others listened to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the brighter their eyes became. What Bailey Hongzhuang said was exactly what they were thinking about. It seemed that Bailey Hongzhuang was also quite knowledgeable about inscriptions, and her understanding seemed to be very complicated. This problem had troubled the three of them for many days, and they had not come up with a final answer. As for the experiment, they might have been able to do it in the past. Which inscriptionist did not have several explosions when they were mixing inscriptions? It was just that they were young in the past, and their reaction speed was relatively fast. Now they were really old. If they could not react when the explosion happened, they would really lose their lives. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, Bai Jingtian hurriedly said, "Little girl, what do you want to add?" Bailey Hongzhuang turned her back to Bai Jingtian and the others, with a faint smile on her lips. "Star powder." "Star powder?" Bai Jingtian and the others looked at each other, and they all had an epiphany. Star powder is very gentle, and together with the condensate, it can neutralize the violence of the fiery ardent stone and the coldness of the black raven gold ore. Jianma thought and said, "Oh, why didn't I think of it?" Bai Jingtian patted his head. He had thought of many ways before, but he had never thought of star powder. Qin Qingwu nodded. However, the amount of star powder is also a problem. A small amount of star powder is not enough, but once the amount is too much, it will also cause the effect to be lost. The three of them all looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in surprise. They had not seen a young person who understood inscriptions for a long time. What's more, the girl in front of them was only in her teens. How could she know so much? It was rare to meet such a good seedling. How could they let Bailey Hongzhuang leave like this? Bai Jingtian could not help but say, "Little girl, come back and tell us." He had thought about this question for so long, but he still could not figure it out. Now, a little girl knew the answer just by listening to their conversation. It was really amazing. However, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "Seniors have already asked me to leave. Coincidentally, I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first." Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was about to leave, Bai Jingtian and the others became anxious. They hurriedly got up and walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Bai Jingtian looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a kind and cunning smile on his face. "Little girl, are you unhappy about what happened before?" Junior wouldn't dare. Bailey Hongzhuang said indifferently. "This old man apologizes for underestimating you previously. Hurry up and discuss the amount of star powder with us. How about it?" Bai Jingtian's face was full of smiles. He did not feel that there was anything shameful about apologizing to a junior. Seeing Bai Jingtian like this, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but think of the old guys in the family in her previous life. They were clearly the same, cute old men. Without waiting for Bailey Hongzhuang to answer, Bai Jingtian and Ji Yunma had already pulled Bailey Hongzhuang to a chair. Lu Jingqi looked at the scene in front of her in a daze. The situation changed so fast that she could not react for a while. What kind of joke was this? Bailey Hongzhuang really understood inscriptions? Not only that, but she also solved the problem that troubled the three inscription masters? How was this possible? However, all of this happened. Chapter 700. They only saw that the three inscription masters were originally angry, but they suddenly changed their attitude and apologized to Bailey Hongzhuang. Such a dramatic scene. What did Bailey Hongzhuang do? My God, what kind of characters are these three inscription masters? They actually apologized to Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang is really defying the heavens. Zhang Yunfeng couldn't help but sigh with emotion. When Bailey Hongzhuang made a move, it was simply earth-shattering. Her little heart was also stimulated. Dongfang Yu's eyes were overflowing with appreciation. Hong Zhuang was always so outstanding and dazzling. When did Hong Zhuang have such an understanding of inscription techniques? She knows too many things. Hong Zhuang is simply my idol. Xia Jiqing's eyes were full of amazement. In her heart, Hong Zhuang was simply omnipotent. Inscription techniques, this was a very complex thing. She wondered how Hong Zhuang's brain was developed. Hong Zhuang was now only 16 years old. Not only was she strong, but she was also proficient in alchemy. Now, she even dabbled in inscription technique. Even if she used all her time, she still found it hard to believe that Hong Zhuang could master so many things. But all of this really happened. Lu Qinyue's face was also full of shock. Since she was a child, she had been called a genius by everyone. Not only was her strength quite outstanding, but she also had an excellent talent in alchemy. However, only she knew how hard it was for her to learn alchemy. There simply wasn't enough time. If she didn't have the will to support herself, she absolutely wouldn't have succeeded. However, Bailey Hong Zhuang actually had the time to understand inscription techniques when she was juggling cultivation and alchemy. Was she made of iron? The most important thing was that Bailey Hong Zhuang was able to answer the questions of the three inscription masters. It could be seen that Bailey Hong Zhuang's knowledge of inscription techniques was absolutely not as simple as just dabbling in them. Perhaps she was also very proficient in inscription techniques. When she thought of this, Lu Qinyue felt that Bailey Hong Zhuang was too terrible. She simply couldn't imagine what Bailey Hong Zhuang's future achievements would be. What a freak! Lu Jinglin's eyes were still filled with disdain. She would never admit that Bailey Hong Zhuang was very good. Maybe Bailey Hong Zhuang happened to hear the answer to this question. At such a young age, how could she solve a problem that the inscription masters couldn't? Anyone with a brain would know that Bailey Hong Zhuang definitely didn't come up with the answer herself. After Bailey Hong Zhuang sat, Bai Jingtian couldn't wait. Little girl, how do you think I should put the star powder? When should I put it? Ever since he found out about the star powder, he had a rough idea of how to solve this problem. However, he wanted to know if this little girl had the same idea as him. First boil the fiery ardent stone and black crow gold ore together with the condensate for 5 minutes before putting it in. For drawing inscriptions, Bailey Hong Zhuang may not have absolute confidence, but for configuring inscription fluids, she was very confident. Because during this time, she had been learning how to configure inscription fluids in the Chaos Ring. From the old man in the Chaos Ring, she learned about the attributes of different metal ores and what she needed to pay attention to when configuring inscription fluids. Just like when she learned alchemy, the first thing she learned was not alchemy, but the understanding of medicinal herbs. Chapter 701. The old woman in the Chaos Ring had a deep understanding of inscription. She had a good memory, but it took her a long time to remember so many metal ores and the method of dissolving different metal ores. Until now, she still had a lot of things that she didn't fully understand, but most of the problems in configuring the inscription liquid could be solved by herself. However, with Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, Bai Jingtian and the other two were all surprised. This method was obviously different from what they had imagined. Why do you put it in after boiling for 5 minutes? Ji Yanmao asked immediately. He never thought that Bailey Hong Zhuang would be so accurate, but he felt that this seemed to be a way, which made his eyes light up. Star powder is a very strange substance. If you put star powder in before, it can't be completely neutralized if the amount is too small. Once you put too much, the effect of the inscription liquid will decline a lot, and the inscription effect will also be greatly reduced. So, after 5 minutes of boiling, when the conflict between the fiery ardent stone and the black raven gold ore becomes more and more intense, you only need to add a small amount of star powder to completely solve the problem. With a faint confident light lingering on her delicate and perfect face, Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes fell on the three of them, and she said, I don't know what the three seniors think? Bai Jingtian and the other two had been completely immersed in their own contemplation. Bailey Hongzhuang's words were very reasonable. They had always thought of placing these materials before cooking. Now it seemed that this method was more appropriate. In this way, this young girl had undoubtedly opened a brand new door for them, allowing them to broaden their horizons. Yes, this method is really excellent. It solves the problem perfectly. Qin Qingwu's face was full of admiration. No matter from which point of view, there was no problem. If it weren't for this little girl's reminder, they didn't know when they would be able to solve the problem. Bai Jingtian also showed a happy smile. Little girl, what's your name? Compared with his previous dissatisfaction with Bailey Hongzhuang, the more Bai Jingtian looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, the more he liked her. He hadn't seen such a young and promising junior for many years. She was simply a great seedling in the inscription field. I'm Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang stood up and bowed. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang being so polite, Bai Jingtian and the other two were even more impressed. Such a young person was really rare. Bailey girl, how do you know how to solve this problem? Ji Yanma couldn't help asking. Bailey Hongzhuang was too young. I learned a lot of information about inscription from my master before, so I can answer it. Bai Jingtian and the other two looked at each other. Bailey Hongzhuang's answer was very modest, but it clearly meant that she answered it herself. Chapter 702. Bailey girl, I wonder if you can tell us your master's name? There was a trace of curiosity in Qin Qingwu's eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang could have such achievements at such a young age. It could be seen that her master was definitely not a nobody. Bailey Hongzhuang pretended to smile awkwardly. My master is an idle man. He doesn't like me to say his name. Hearing this, Bai Jingtian and the other two were not surprised. Some masters liked to live an idle life. Even old guys like them were too lazy to pay attention to some dispute. They just wanted to live a leisurely life. We understand. Bai Jingtian waved his hand. Your master must be an inscription grand master, since he can teach a disciple like you. Bai Jingtian knew very well that he was at most an inscription master. Bailey Hongzhuang's master was enough to be called an inscription grand master. Because the disciple taught by the other party could solve problems that they could not understand. It could be seen that the other party was powerful. Girl, I still have a question here. Why don't you answer it again? Ji Yanma's eyes were full of interest. He also wanted to know how capable Bailey Hongzhuang was. Maybe it was a fluke that she could answer one question. Maybe she just happened to hear her master talk about this question. Unless she could answer other questions again, it was a good skill. Senior, please ask. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and talked with Bai Jingtian and the others. She seemed to have returned to the feeling of testing each other with a group of old guys in her previous life. She really missed it. How can the cat's eye glazed stone and the fiery ardent stone be dissolved? The fiery ardent stone was a metal or often used in making fire attribute inscriptions, but it was too violent. It was easy to cause problems with a little carelessness. Therefore, inscriptionists loved and hated the fiery ardent stone. Bai Jingtian and Qin Qingwu also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a faint smile. They also wanted to know if Bailey Hongzhuang could answer it. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes swept across the faces of Bai Jingtian and the other two, and the corners of her mouth slowly spread into a smile. The cat's eye-colored glaze stone is very warm, so there is no problem with it fusing with the fiery ardent stone. It's just that the cat's eye glaze stone is too hard, and it's impossible to grind it into powder with tools. However, you only need to add the black meteor liquid to soften it, and then mix it with the fiery ardent stone. However, I have a little idea about the fusion of these two. If I can add some gilt stone powder, the effect of the inscription liquid will be better. Bailey Hongzhuang directly expressed her thoughts. Now, she had engraved the properties of each metal ore in her heart. At the same time, she also had some insights of her own. Just like the old man in the Chaos Ring, he would often do something unexpected, and in the end, he would always achieve good result. Inscription techniques required a variety of experiments in order to create better inscriptions. Gold-plated stone powder? Bai Jingtian frowned slightly. No one had ever proposed this idea, but the gold-plated stone did have some effect in this regard. If this was really possible, then the effect of his inscriptions could be improved again. Thinking of this, Bai Jingtian became even more excited. No, I have to go back and try it. This method really reminds me. Chapter 703. Not only Bai Jingtian, but Ji Yunma and Qin Qingwu were also enlightened by Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Over the years, they had been staring at some problems, which had led them to a dead end and did not expand their thinking. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's reminder seemed to have opened a new world for them. Some problems that had been unsolvable for a long time seemed to have found the possibility to be solved. Girl, wait for me to go back and verify my thoughts, and then I will communicate with you again, Ji Yunma said. At this moment, many ideas flashed in his mind. He must go back now, otherwise the inspiration would be fleeting. If he forgot, he would regret it. Seeing the three masters leave like the wind, the smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips widened a little. Sure enough, as she imagined, they were a group of lovely old men. Once they found a new possibility, they didn't care about anything else. How could they look like old men when they walk so fast? At this moment, Lu Jingqi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again, and did not know what to say. Obviously, Bailey Hongzhuang really understood inscriptions. Not only that, but she could also communicate with the three inscription masters smoothly, and even help the three masters solve their doubts. It was reasonable to say that at their current age, this was simply impossible. This Bailey Hongzhuang was really a monster. Seeing the three inscription masters leave one by one like the wind, Xia Jiqing and others could not help but come to Bailey Hongzhuang's side, their eyes full of doubts. Hongzhuang, what happened? Xia Jiqing looked in the direction of the exit. What happened to the three inscription masters? Not only Xia Jiqing, but Gong Shaoqing and others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with doubt. This was too strange. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled indifferently. They just thought of some very important problems. Everyone listened to Bailey Hongzhuang's answer, but the doubts in their hearts still hadn't dissipated. What kind of question could make the three masters so anxious like this? The cultivators of Beihai College couldn't help but look at Lu Jingqi. They were worried that their approach would cause the three masters to be unhappy, so they didn't dare to approach. Therefore, they didn't know what had happened. Lu Jingqi shook her head at them. She didn't know what to say about this. By the way, how's your inscription selection going? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. I have already chosen. It suits Gong Shaoqing. Xia Jiqing smiled. Cui Haoyan and the others also nodded. Gong Shaoqing's strength was the strongest among them besides Bailey Hongzhuang. If this inscription was added, Gong Shaoqing's strength would definitely increase. In this way, Gong Shaoqing would be able to achieve better results in the Inter-Academy competition. After all, the Inter-Academy competition would eventually choose the first place. Whichever school the first place belonged to, the winner would be that school. Although they were all looking forward to their excellent performance, they still hoped to maximize the success rate. Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing were the two people that everyone had the most hope for. Therefore, when it came to choosing, there was no dispute. Gong Shaoqing was the person they most approved of in their hearts. Chapter 704. The cultivators of Beihai College saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others solve the problem so indifferently, and their hearts were somewhat incredible. As a cultivator, how could they be so modest? Their own strength was the most important thing. The cultivators of Kanglan College were really different. They even faintly felt that the other side might be sensationalist, but they couldn't find any evidence. Since we have chosen, let's leave. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a shallow smile. This Wubao pavilion was really worthy of its reputation, but they had already seen everything, and they didn't need to continue to stay here. Hearing this, everyone nodded and immediately turned to go downstairs. Take care. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others leave, the attendant quickly said. Her pretty face revealed a bit of amazement and emotion. This Bailey girl was really amazing. It was the first time she saw someone who could solve the problem here, and it was also the first time she saw a young person who could be treated like this by the three masters. Just this point alone, Bailey Hongzhuang was already very amazing. After everyone left the Wubao pavilion, the cultivators of Beihai College did not stay for a long time, but they had secretly decided to come to the Wubao pavilion early tomorrow, even if it was at a high price. They would not hesitate to buy the inscription. Selling an inscription every day, they still had a chance. Let's go back to the inn, Lu Qinyue slowly said. Originally, her good mood was a bit gloomy after meeting the group of cultivators of Beihai College. This group of guys was really good at destroying the mood. Xia Jiqing nodded slightly. Meeting a group of guys who spoil my appetite, I also don't have the mood to continue to stroll around. Xia Jiqing's words were not restrained at all, so the cultivators of Beihai College heard it very clearly, and their faces became ugly in an instant. When the college tournament starts, we must teach them a lesson. Lu Jingqi's face was full of anger. Since she met Xia Jiqing and the others, her mood was in an extremely bad stage. Jingqi, does Bailey Hongzhuang really know inscription? Lu Jinglin walked to Lu Jingqi's side and took the latter's hand, her eyes full of curiosity. Lu Jingqi nodded slightly. Judging from her conversation with the three masters, that should be the case. After receiving the affirmative answer from Lu Jingqi and the others, the expressions of Xue Haolang and the others changed a little. An inscription master was a very noble profession. If Bailey Hongzhuang could become an inscription master in the future, her status would be incomparable. I didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to be an inscription master. It's really unexpected. Xiao Lanmei's lips evoked a faint smile, but his expression did not change. The next morning, Huan Chuyu gathered Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was not for anything else, but because the principal and vice principal of Lingyin College had personally come to the inn to pick them up. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not surprised by this outcome. All of this was within their expectations. Elder Huan, long time no see. A middle-aged man wearing a black robe slowly walked in. Compared to Huan Chuyu, he was undoubtedly younger. However, the image and the aura he exuded when he walked told everyone that his identity was not ordinary. Chapter 705. After seeing Jian Qingqiu, Huan Chuyu's face, which had always been kind and amiable, was a little cold. Principal Jian. For what Lingyin College had done before, Huan Chuyu was obviously still angry. Or rather, he had to show his attitude in front of Jian Qingqiu today. If it was so simple, wouldn't the other party look down on them even more? Feeling the indifference in Huan Chuyu's words, Jian Qingqiu's smile did not change. Old Huan, I was in seclusion before. I didn't expect such a big thing to happen. I hope you won't be angry. Lingyin College is getting more and more powerful now. A mere guard can treat us like this. Principal Jian is deliberately trying to embarrass us. Huan Chuyu's voice was slightly drawn out. How could he not know what Jian Qingqiu was thinking? Seclusion? With Jian Qingqiu's temperament at this moment, he was afraid that he would think of ways to win this time. How could he be in the mood to seclude himself? They had been staying in this inn for 2 days. If Jian Qingqiu cared, he would have come long ago. Now he was just putting on a show. Since he was putting on a show, he would let the other party put on a show. Old Huan, what are you talking about? I really don't know about this matter. Jian Qingqiu hurriedly said. As soon as I knew about this matter, I drove the guard away. He dared to stop the team of Kanglin College. He really doesn't have eyes. However, Huan Chuyu was still unmoved. Old Huan, what the principal said is the truth. I hope you will be magnanimous and not care about a guard. Lin Yinghao, the vice principal, said. I don't believe that a mere guard would have the guts to do such a thing, Lin Feng said. Huan Chuyu raised his eyebrows slightly. Today, Kanglin College and Lingyin College had long been at odds. Since they were destined to fall out, why should he let his students suffer at such a time? No matter what, you must give me an explanation for this matter. Huan Chuyu's expression was serious and his tone was firm. This was related to the face of the entire Kanglin College and the face of the students. If the Lingyin College did not give them an explanation, they would be ridiculed if they directly entered the Lingyin College. This was not what he wanted to see. Seeing Huan Chuyu being so serious, Jian Qingqiu and Lin Yinghao couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't expect this old man to be so stubborn. It seemed that it would be impossible for them to resolve this matter easily. Old Huan, this is the fault of our Lingyin College. I apologize to you. Jian Qingqiu said. As for this guard's audacity, I will investigate it carefully and give you an explanation. What do you think? Jian Qingqiu was also very open-minded. What he wanted was to use the opportunity of this college tournament to completely defeat the Kanglin College. This little thing in front of him, he directly agreed. After Azure Water College was defeated once again, what was the point of Huan Chuyu's explanation? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other. The principal of Lingyin College was really good at pretending. If it was in the past, they might really think that Jian Qingqiu really wanted to give them an explanation. Now that they had experienced so many things together, they were able to differentiate between sincerity and deceit. Chapter 706. Seeing Jian Qingqiu's attitude, the coldness on Huan Chuyu's face eased a little. Then we will wait for Principal Jian to give us an explanation. What a stubborn old man. Jian Qingqiu muttered in his heart, but a smile appeared on his face. Of course. These days, old Huan and the students have been living in the inn. I have already prepared accommodation for you in the college. Now that the problem has been solved, it is better to come with me to the college. Otherwise, everyone will say that I am not treating guests well. Lin Yinghao also said, the principal is right. Tomorrow is the day of the student exchange meeting. It will be more convenient to stay in the college. What a group of old foxes. Are they afraid that we will run away? Bai Junyu sneered. Tomorrow was the day of the college exchange meeting. They had specially come to invite them to stay in Lingyin College. What they were most worried about was that they would leave. What other reason could there be? Xia Jiqing's eyebrows were filled with disgust. We must perform well in the college competition. Now it was not only to restore the honor of the college, but they were also full of disgust for Lingyin College. Everything was for them to be able to leave Lingyin College with their heads held high. Isn't it just winning 2 times in a row? What's so great about it? Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Shaoqing, I will rely on you to defeat them. Bai Junyu's face was full of confidence. Although they had not interacted much with Lingyin College so far, the other party's insults to them had been engraved in their hearts. Listening to Bai Junyu's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing's eyes were filled with helplessness. They thought that Bai Junyu was ready to surprise the other party in the college competition. They did not expect that he would ask them to work hard. This guy was really finally, under the invitation of Jian Qingqiu and Lin Yinghao, Huan Chuyu took Bailey Hongzhuang and others to Lingyin College again. However, the situation this time was completely different from the last time. The principal and vice principal of Lingyin College were personally leading the way. Who would dare to stop them? All the way to Lingyin College, everyone was able to see the situation inside the college. They already knew that Lingyin College had strong financial resources, and the equipment in the college was naturally first class, but when they saw it with their own eyes, they found that the situation was much more magnificent than they had imagined. As expected of the Royal Academy, this arrangement is truly amazing. Dongfang Yu exclaimed. It's just a little more beautiful. Other than looking good, it's useless. Xia Jiqing curled her lips. It was obvious that she was disgusted with Lingyin College. No matter what good things there were, they were worthless in her eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the situation of Lingyin College. The campus of Lingyin College was much larger than that of Kanglan College, and there were more students. However, she had also heard that there was a large area in Lingyin College that belonged to the members of the royal family. The members of the royal family had the highest status here. They were high and mighty and never associated with ordinary cultivators. As a result, the range of ordinary cultivators was not much bigger than the Azure Water School. Chapter 707. Look, that's the cultivators of Kanglan College. I heard that they were blocked by the guards and left. I didn't expect that today they would be personally brought back by the two principals. Kanglan College has already lost twice in a row. This time they are only here to humiliate themselves. The two principals personally invited them back, but they don't even know if they are really qualified. That's right, let them be today. Once the tournament starts tomorrow, they will just be a joke. The cultivators of the Lingyin College obviously looked down on the cultivators of the Kanglan College. At this moment, when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, the words of ridicule came in waves. Listening to the sarcasm of the people around them, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked as usual. Along the way, they had been listening to such words for a long time. It could be seen how the teachers and principals of Lingyin College belittled Kanglan College in front of the students. Otherwise, how could the students be so unanimous? The students of Lingyin College don't seem to be so annoying. Xiao Hei's eyes were full of dissatisfaction. What a joke! These ugly people dared to laugh at her master. They were definitely looking for death. I want to directly slap these people's mouth. Xiao Bai was obviously even paler. These guys, if they didn't slap them in the face, they wouldn't be able to completely shut up. Kanglan College has already lost 2 times in a row. It is expected that they will suffer here. If you want to shut them up, you have to rely on your own strength. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent. Even in the face of this merciless sarcasm, she still had the appearance of a superior. Compared to the ridicule she had suffered before, this was nothing at all. Instead of being unhappy about this kind of thing, it was better to think about how to make these people unhappy tomorrow. Xia Jiqing's eyes were full of anger. This group of people was too much. The faces of Gong Xiaoqing and the others were also ugly. They had always been respected and worshipped in Kanglan College, but here they were ridiculed by everyone. This gap was not ordinary. Jian Qingqiu also heard the discussions of the surrounding students, but he acted as if he didn't hear anything. He didn't stop them. Instead, the smile on his face widened. This floor is where you will stay. You can have a good rest here. The inter-school competition will begin tomorrow morning, Jian Qingqiu said with a smile. Huan Chuyu said to Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba, "You two settle the students down first. I still have some matters to discuss with Principal Jian." Lu Huaiyan nodded slightly and immediately led Bailey Hongzhuang and the others into the corridor. "Mentor, the students of Lingyin College are too annoying." As soon as she walked into the corridor, Xia Jiqing couldn't help but start to complain. He didn't even know how to treat guests, it was really disgusting. Lu Huaiyan and Fu Hongba's faces were equally ugly. Lingyin College has always been arrogant, even their students are the same. You have been wronged. Listening to the mentor's words, Xia Jiqing's expression also changed a bit. If they were unhappy, the 2 mentors and the vice principal would be even more unhappy. Chapter 708. However, Lu Huaiyan's expression was still dignified. This time, the team of Lingyin College is also very strong. There are many strong cultivators. They suddenly proposed to hold a college tournament. It was premeditated. Hearing this, the expressions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were a bit heavy. They did not directly enter the room, but all of them gathered in one room. Tomorrow was the day of the tournament, and they believed that the 2 mentors had something to tell them. After all, so far, they did not know anything about the cultivators of Lingyin College. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be victorious in 100 battles. At the very least, they needed to know some information about each other so that they would have more confidence when they fought tomorrow. The strongest cultivator of Lingyin College is the crown prince of the Qing dynasty, Nangong Aochen. Nangong Aochen is now 18 years old. 2 years ago, I heard that his strength had reached the innate realm. Now that 2 years have passed, we don't know how much he has grown. Nangong Aochen is now 18 years old. Wasn't he 16 years old 2 years ago? Xia Jiqing exclaimed, 16 years old innate realm. This talent was really first class. Lu Huayan nodded slightly. It is said that Nangong Aochen will leave Lingyin College next year, and Lingyin College is holding the tournament this year to use Nangong Aochen as their trump card to win the first place. As soon as these words came out, Gong Shaoqing and the others also understood. This Lingyin College is too treacherous. If it was held again 2 years later, Lingyin College would lose such a trump card, and the possibility of winning would be reduced a lot. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba also had some contempt in their eyes. Lingyin College had come to this position step by step, and had used a lot of methods. In addition to Nangong Aochen, the second prince Nangong Xiujia has also broken through to the innate realm, and the third prince Nangong Yujin is not far from breaking through to the innate realm. In addition, there are other cultivators, but the 3 princes of the royal family are the trump cards of Lingyin College. Therefore, the pressure you are under is great. Fu Hongba's voice was slightly heavy. If it was only Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, they could fight with Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing. However, Nangong Aochen's strength was too strong, and their chances of winning were still very slim. Xia Jiqing and the others looked at each other. This situation was indeed much more serious than they thought. He just didn't expect Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, these 2 lechers, to have such outstanding strength. It would be really difficult to win this time. I've already received news that Nangong Aochen won't show up until the finals, so we won't meet Nangong Aochen tomorrow. Lu Huayan added. With Nangong Aochen's strength, he indeed had the right to obtain special privileges. In the previous competitions, Nangong Aochen would definitely win as soon as he made a move, so there was no point in participating. It was better to give the other students a chance to perform. Mentor, what about the cultivators of Beihai College? Lu Qingyue couldn't help but ask. Bai Junyu was also puzzled. Yes, didn't the cultivators of Beihai College also fail to win for 2 years? Why are they so proud? Chapter 709. There was also a touch of helplessness on Fu Hongbo's face. This is because in the last 2 college tournaments, Lingyin College was first, Beihai College was second, and Kanglin College was last. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others understood that the reputation of being last 2 times in a row was really bad. Seeing the look of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, Lu Huayan could not help but add, the reason why Kanglin College fell into this situation is because Lingyin College and Beihai College joined forces. In the previous competition, the students of Lingyin College injured our students, so in the second day of the finals, it was natural that they would not be able to get a good result. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo's eyes flashed with anger. If the other side did not use these underhanded means, they would have lost. But how could they accept losing in this way? Damn, Lingyin College and Beihai College are too much. Bai Junyu directly burst out with foul language. This kind of despicable and shameless means, the other side was really shameless. Lu Huayan was somewhat helpless. There is a possibility of injury during the competition. The other side regarded it as an accident, and we can't do anything about it. This time, you must be more careful during the competition. If you can't win, then don't fight. Although the results are important, in our eyes you are more important, Fu Hongbo said solemnly. When these words came out, everyone's heart was touched. Compared to many mentors who only cared about results, Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo had always paid the most attention to their safety. Among the practitioners of Beihai College, the strongest is Xiao Lanmei. He has also broken through to the innate realm. Once you meet him, you have to be more careful. As the two mentors told everyone about the specific situation of the practitioners of the two colleges, everyone's mood was heavy. Lingyin College had two practitioners of the innate realm, and Beihai College had one. The other side had joined forces, and they only had Bailey Hongzhuang, who was a practitioner of the innate realm. As a result, they were really in trouble. Gong Shaoqing was now at the late stage of the Xiantian realm, and there was only a little obstacle to breaking through to the innate realm. Unfortunately, breaking through to the Xiantian realm required some opportunities. Only by grasping that opportunity would one be able to successfully break through. Otherwise, one would have to wait. Although Gong Shaoqing's expression did not change, he could not help but feel a little anxious. If he could also successfully break through to the Xiantian realm, then the success rate this time would increase by a lot. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the house, Xiao He and Xiao Bai had already jumped down from her head and sat at the table across from Bailey Hongzhuang. "Master, this isn't a good situation," Xiao He frowned. "We don't know how strong Nangong Aochen is." Xiao Bai nodded. "He broke through to the innate realm 2 years ago. With the cultivation resources and heritage of the royal family, I believe that Nangong Aochen has at least reached the 4th level of the Red Realm." Baisher jumped out of Bailey Hongzhuang's arms and onto the table. Its furry little face was filled with anticipation. "Master, can I join in?" Chapter 710. In the Shengxian continent, contract beasts were also a part of a cultivator's strength, so contract beasts could also be brought to the field. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a light of thought. "I don't know the specific rules, we can only wait until the beginning of the student exchange tomorrow to know. If she could bring Baisher out, that would be the best, but if not, there was nothing she could do. After all, in the college tournament, she was afraid that the word fairness was very important, and it may not be allowed to bring pets." The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others gathered outside the dormitory early, while Huan Chuyu, Lu Huayan, and Fu Hongbo stood in front of everyone. In this college tournament, today is the promotion round, tomorrow is the finals, and the 3rd day is the alchemy competition. Qingyue can rest for these 2 days, and your competition will be on the 3rd day. Huan Chuyu said slowly. Since the end of the last trip to the ruins, Lu Qingyue had decided to put all her energy into refining pills, so she would not participate in this competition. Not only Lu Qingyue, but Lingyin College and Beihai College also had cultivators participating in the alchemy competition. Therefore, today's promotion round was about 7 people from each college, a total of 21 people. Among them, Nangong Aochen directly advanced to the finals, so today only 20 colleges participated in the promotion round. This competition is related to the integration of Kanglin College. I hope everyone can do their best to get a good result. Huan Chuyu's voice was dignified, looking at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others with eyes full of love. Nangong Aochen and the others were the most important students of Lingyin College, and Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were also the most important students of Kanglin College. "Vice Principal, you can rest assured that we will do our best." Bai Junyu was the first to respond. His expression was very serious. This tournament was not only related to the honor of the college, but also their personal honor. Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Shaoqing and the others also nodded. Now they were fighting with their backs against the river, and there was no way back. Looking at the expressions of Gong Shaoqing and the others, Huan Chuyu and the 2 mentors' faces were filled with joy. "You just need to do your best, I believe in your strength, but your life is the most important. Although the rules of the exchange have always stated that you cannot kill, injuries are still difficult to avoid. You have to be more careful." "We understand. Since everyone is ready, let's set off." There was a faint and loving smile on Huan Chuyo's face as he turned around and led Bailey Hongzhuang and the others to the arena of Lingyin College. Today, the most lively place in the entire Lingyin College was the arena. Early in the morning, all the students rushed to the arena. They wanted to witness the glory of Lingyin College once again. Even the princes and princesses, who were rarely seen, would appear here. It was truly a feast. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others arrived at the martial arts field, they saw a black mass of students gathered here. They couldn't even see the situation inside clearly. Fortunately, there was a special passage on the left for the participating students to enter. Otherwise, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others would have needed a lot of time just to squeeze in. There are really a lot of students in Lingyin College. Zhang Yunfeng couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 7:11. Listening to Cui Haoyan's words, everyone was stunned. It seems that Lingyin College is really confident in winning. They want more people to witness their moment of success. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows slightly. It was reasonable to say that the college tournament was held within the college and outsiders should not be allowed to come in and watch. The move of Lingyin College was a bit sensational. I heard that it's not just that, Lu Qinyue said slowly. It is said that tomorrow's final will be held on the royal family's platform. The emperor of the Qing dynasty will also come to watch in person. As the voice of Lu Qinyue fell, everyone's expression changed again. This time Lingyin College really wanted to be in the limelight. Nangong Aochen is the crown prince of the Qing dynasty. His battle will naturally be very grand. We have to be more careful, Gong Shaoqing said slowly. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked into the crowd, they found that the teams of Lingyin College and Beihai College had already arrived. Everyone's faces were full of smiles. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, there was a hint of sarcasm in their smiles. The students of Kanglin College are really arrogant. They are actually the last to come, Lu Jingqi said coldly. A woman from Lingyin College laughed after hearing this. They know that they will lose face here today. Naturally, they don't want to come too early. The woman was wearing a pink and purple dress. Her skin was white and her appearance was outstanding. There was a strong sense of arrogance and nobility between her eyebrows. She was the little princess of the royal family, Nangong Yu. They are too much. What kind of temper did Xia Jiqing have? At this moment, when she heard Nangong Yu and Lu Jingqi's collusion, she couldn't help but want to fly into a rage. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had already pulled her back and said, "They have many people. Even if they quarrel, we won't be able to take advantage of them. It is better to let them say whatever they want and see the truth on the platform." Xia Jiqing's face was full of anger, but she also knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was right. Now that they had exploded, it would be better for them. God bless me, if Lu Jingqi is in the same group as me, I will tear her mouth off. Xia Jiqing's eyes flashed with anger. This annoying woman, if she didn't teach her a good lesson, she would never be happy. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly and looked coldly at Lu Jingqi. This woman was always trying to sow discord and her own strength was not very good. If Jiqing really had the chance to be in the same group as Lu Jingqi, it would be good to teach her a lesson. Gong Shaoqing and the rest also ignored the words of the people around them. In this kind of environment, what they had to show was their own quality. Just like Lu Jingqi, she was just a clown who was trying to please the crowd. After seeing the arrival of the Kanglin College team, Jian Qingqiu's face also showed a deep smile. In the next moment, Jian Qingqiu walked directly to the high platform. His handsome face was full of joy and relief. Today is the day of the exchange between the three great academies. It is also a custom that has been established since the establishment of the three great academies. It is to promote the students' hearts for cultivation. Now, I announce that the Academy Exchange competition has officially begun. Chapter 7:12. This time, the college tournament still uses the drawing system. 7 cultivators from each of the 3 colleges will participate in the tournament. Because of the special nature of Crown Prince Nangong Auchen, he directly advanced to the finals. Hearing this news, the people present did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. Crown Prince Nangong Auchen was the pride of the people of the Qing dynasty. At a young age, he had become the first in Lingyin College. His strength was extremely strong, his talent was extraordinary, and he was unparalleled in the world. Therefore, there are only 20 cultivators participating in the tournament today. In order to be fair, Beihai College and Kanglan College will each send 5 cultivators to draw lot. The winner will successfully advance to the second round, and the loser will be eliminated. Jian Qingqiu concisely introduced the method of the tournament to everyone. It was simple and clear. If there is no doubt, we can start drawing lots now. Jian Qingqiu's face was filled with a thick smile. In front of him, there was a drawing box. Each drawing box had the name of the participating cultivator. As the cultivators of Beihai College and Kanglan College went to the high platform, Jian Qingqiu took out the lot of the people who drew lots. In this way, the cultivators they drew would be their opponent. This method also reduced the possibility of their own academies encountering cultivators from their own academies to the minimum. Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing did not go up to draw lot. No matter who the opponent was, they were already mentally prepared. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin were looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with displeasure. They did not expect this woman to be a cultivator of Kanglan College. If that was the case, could it be that what Mo Yunjue said that day was false? After all, the cultivators of the Kanglan College had only arrived in the Qing dynasty in the past 2 days. Previously, they were at the Kanglan College, so how could they know Mo Yunjue? Yujin, are we being played? Nangong Xiujie's face was gloomy. He had never been played like this before. Because the movement on that day was too big, even his father, the emperor, heard the news and even scolded him and Nangong Yujin for it. If it was someone else talking about it, it would affect his father's attitude towards them, so they could not let it go easily. Nangong Yujin's face was also ugly. If this is the case, then Mo Yunjue is too bold. They were dignified princes. Wasn't Mo Yunjue treating them like monkeys? Even if Mo Yunjue had a certain background, he could not be so excessive. Let's ask third sister later. Nangong Xiujie's eyes flashed with the light of thought. Mo Yunjue was not a simple character. They could not wrongly accuse Mo Yunjue. Nangong Yujin's eyebrows slightly. Ever since Nangong Yue first met Mo Yunjue, she had fallen in love with him. During this period of time, she had been paying close attention to him. Although Mo Yunjue was often mysterious, Nangong Yue was still persistent. He believed that Nangong Yue would know a lot about Mo Yunjue. Have you seen young Master Mo recently? Nangong Yujin asked. Hearing this, Nangong Yue's eyes showed a strange look. Third brother, why are you asking about young Master Mo? Chapter 7:13. Third brother is just concerned about your marriage. You are not young now, and father is very concerned about your marriage. Nangong Yujin's face was filled with a playful smile. It was impossible for this little girl to trick him. Hearing this, Nangong Yue's expression changed a bit. Third brother, did you hear something from father? Nangong Yujin shrugged. I know you like Mo Yunjue, but Mo Yunjue has always been mysterious. Is it possible that he has already married and you are still in the dark? As soon as this was said, Nangong Yue immediately shook her head. This is impossible. You are so sure? Nangong Yujin raised his eyebrows. Of course. Nangong Yue did not hesitate to answer, but after seeing Nangong Yujin's attitude, she was a bit suspicious. Her third brother had never paid much attention to these things. What happened today? Nangong Yue absolutely did not believe that Nangong Yujin was just asking a simple question, so she immediately asked, Third brother, what happened? Tell me clearly. Nangong Yujin originally just wanted to test Nangong Yu-er's words, but now that he saw her so concerned, he decided to tell the truth. A few days ago, I saw Mo Yunjue holding a child and looking for a young and beautiful woman. He even called the woman his wife. Originally, I believed it, but today I saw that woman appear in the team of the college tournament. I felt a bit strange, so I asked you. If Mo Yunjue is really married and has a child, you should not jump into it. As a member of the royal family, she has always been quite indifferent to relationships, but Nangong Yu-er was very serious about Mo Yunjue. Nangong Yu-er was also his third sister, and he did not want to see her being deceived. With Nangong Yujin's voice falling, Nangong Yu-er's expression instantly became ugly. How is this possible? She had never heard of this news. In the past, when she saw Mo Yunjue, it was just him alone. Not to mention a wife, she had never even seen the existence of a woman beside Mo Yunjue. Nangong Yu-er's mind was constantly thinking, but suddenly she remembered that Nangong Yujin said that Mo Yunjue's wife was in the team of the college tournament. She immediately asked, "Third brother, who is this Mo Yunjue's wife you mentioned? Among the women who participated in the college tournament, which one could compare with her?" Regardless of whether Mo Yunjue was really married or not, the way he treated that woman already showed that he treated her differently. She wanted to see who dared to steal her man. Nangong Yujin raised his chin slightly and looked in the direction of Bailey Hongzhuang. "It's the girl in white from Azure Water School's team, Bailey Hongzhuang." Hearing this, Nangong Yu-er could not help but be stunned. She had already noticed Bailey Hongzhuang before. Because this person's appearance was really difficult to not notice. Even if she did not want to admit it, she had to say that Bailey Hongzhuang was really a national beauty. She is from the Kanglin College, how could she know young Master Mo? Nangong Yu-er's face was suspicious. This was simply two different places. Chapter 714. Nangong Yujin shrugged his shoulders. If third brother could make such a mistake, then he wouldn't be your third brother. What's more, I didn't see it alone, second brother also saw it with his own eyes. After saying this, Nangong Yujin no longer said anything and went back to his seat. Seeing Nangong Yujin so serious, Nangong Yu-er no longer doubted him. The next moment, Nangong Yu-er's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. This damn woman dared to steal her sweetheart? What kind of status did she have? How could a lowly commoner like Bailey Hongzhuang compare with her? In any case, Mo Yunjue was the man she liked. She must make Mo Yunjue her man. As for all the obstacles, she will completely eradicate them. Bailey Hongzhuang was waiting for the results of the draw when she suddenly felt a gaze full of anger and resentment directed at her. She could not help but look in the direction of the source of the gaze and saw Nangong Yu looking at her fiercely. It was as if they were irreconcilable enemies. Although she and Nangong Yu originally belonged to the same camp, it was normal for them to hate each other, but this kind of hatred was a bit strange. Even if she had offended Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin, these two people had not yet expressed their opinions. What did it have to do with Nangong Yu? After thinking for a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't figure out the reason, so she directly chose to give up. Since Nangong Yu hated her so much, she would know the reason sooner or later. Soon, the results of the draw came out, and Linging Hao slowly read out the names of the people who had drawn. Xiao Lanmei against Nangong Yujin. Bailey Hongzhuang against Lu Jinglin. Xia Jiqing against Lu Jingqi. Soon, everyone already knew their opponent. The Kanglin College was very lucky this time. They did not draw any cultivators from their own college. However, there were two cultivators from Beihai College who drew their own cultivators. However, whether it was lucky or not could not be directly determined. This was because their own academy had drawn a cultivator from their own academy. This meant that one of them would definitely advance to the next round. If the Kanglin College's cultivator advanced, it would be the best, if not, the result may be worse than Beihai College. When Xia Jiqing clearly saw that she had drawn Lu Jingqi, an unspeakable excitement spread in her heart. This damn woman, today, she finally had a chance to teach her a lesson. When Lu Jingqi heard that her opponent was Xia Jiqing, the corners of her mouth also evoked a smile. If someone were to ask her who she hated the most in Azure Water School, she wouldn't say Bailey Hongzhuang, but Xia Jiqing. Today, she finally had a chance to let them decide the winner. She must teach Xia Jiqing a lesson. Jingqi, this is your chance for revenge. Perform well. Lu Jinglin patted her on the Tsin was uses. It is a good it's their it, sister, you can rest assured. I will definitely beat Xia Jiqing until she pisses her pants. Chapter 7:15. Lu Jingqi also understood what Lu Jinglin was thinking at the moment. She also felt very helpless about her sister's luck. It was said that Bailey Hongzhuang and Gong Shaoqing were the two strongest people in Kanglan College. Although her sister's strength was not weak, the last time she fought with Bailey Hongzhuang, it had already shown the difference in strength between the two. This time, she was afraid that her sister would definitely lose. Sister, Lu Jingqi's eyes were filled with worry. She naturally knew what kind of character her sister had, and she was afraid that she was extremely depressed. Lu Jinglin waved her hand slightly. I am afraid that I will lose this round. As long as you can perform well, that is enough. Hearing this, Lu Jingqi nodded heavily. Sister, you can rest assured. I will definitely help you vent your anger. After Nangong Yue found that her opponent was not Bailey Hongzhuang, she looked a little depressed. If Bailey Hongzhuang was her opponent, she would have killed her directly on the stage. In this way, Mo Yunjue would still be hers. I hope you can survive this round. Nangong Yue's eyes narrowed, and a vicious light flashed in her eyes. She had to deal with her own opponent. Among all the cultivators, Xiao Lanmei against Nangong Yujin was the last result that Lingyin College and Beihai College wanted to see. Both Xiao Lanmei and Nangong Yujin were very strong. If they were to fight against the cultivators of Kanglan College, they would definitely be able to eliminate them. They did not think that they would have to fight against the two of them. As a result, it was a pity that only one of them would be left. When the results of the draw came out, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer delayed and immediately went to the stage. At this moment, there were a total of 10 stages in the entire arena, which were prepared for the first round. If it was a 2-on-1 battle, who knew how much time it would take to complete the first round of the promotion tournament? Therefore, Lingyin College arranged 10 stages at the same time, which could shorten a lot of time. What's more, the first round of the tournament was the least valuable. The later the tournament, the more tragic and exciting it would be. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure leapt up, directly landing on the stage. The wind blew, her clothes fluttered, and her black hair danced. A transparent long sword was held in her hand, and under the sun, it flashed a colorful light. It was just that the chill that was inadvertently spread out made everyone understand that it was not the time to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Lu Jinglin appeared on the other side of the stage. Her pretty face was a bit gloomy. Obviously, her mood was not very good. We meet again, Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. She hadn't expected this result. Lu Jingqi's strength was around the middle stage of the Profound Heaven stage, so she couldn't pose any threat to her. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't think you're so great just because you're strong. This time, your Azure Water College is doomed to lose. Lu Jinglin looked at Bailey Hongzhuang mockingly. She would not let Bailey Hongzhuang be proud. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were slightly curved. The result of this tournament is still unknown. I only know that you will be defeated by me. As soon as these words came out, Lu Jingqi's face suddenly became gloomy. Bailey Hongzhuang's words really made her unable to refute. Chapter 7:16. With the sound of the referee's voice, Bailey Hongzhuang's internal energy surged in an instant, and in a short time, it poured into her limbs and bones. Although Lu Jinglin knew that she was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent, she had to show her strength. No matter what, she had to hold on for a while, although the result of losing to the cultivators of the Kanglan College was already a shame for her. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly stepped forward, and a tyrannical fist blasted the air, and without hesitation, blasted towards Lu Jinglin. Lu Jinglin's figure was slightly shaken, her strength was not Bailey Hongzhuang's opponent at all, and a direct confrontation would only lead to a dead end. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had already discovered her thoughts. How could there be a possibility of her dodging? Bailey Hongzhuang's fist turned and landed solidly on Lu Jinglin's chest. Ta-ta! Lu Jinglin could not help but take a few steps back, and her face was pale, but her eyes flashed with disbelief. She had clearly dodged, but Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have expected her to dodge, and the place where the fist appeared was where she appeared after dodging. How was this possible? Lu Jinglin found it hard to believe. Did Bailey Hongzhuang already expect her reaction? In her line of sight, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were curved with a faint smile, and this blow was effortless for her. If it was before she obtained the inheritance of the monument, it may take some time to deal with Lu Jinglin, but for now it was no pressure at all. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was stronger than Lu Jinglin's, and this punch did not hold back at all, so it was difficult for Lu Jinglin to bear. The scene in Longuang City seemed to be reproduced here. Lu Jinglin only felt as if her internal organs were displaced, and a piercing pain emerged from her body, making her extremely uncomfortable. Just as she was about to stand up, Lu Jinglin felt a surge of blood in her body, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. She had not fully recovered from the serious injuries she had suffered from Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that she had been punched, her condition was even worse than before. This was the reason why they never clashed with Bailey Hongzhuang again. If they were to be injured by Bailey Hongzhuang and the others before the start of the inter-school tournament, then by the time the inter-school tournament started, wouldn't they be at a disadvantage? However, Lu Jinglin did not expect her luck to be so bad. The last person she wanted to meet was Bailey Hongzhuang. She did not expect to meet her. She wanted to continue fighting, but her body's condition made her understand that it was impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang wins. The referee did not hesitate to announce the result. Lu Jinglin's face was dejected. Before the start of the competition, she had never thought that this would be the result. One move. Just one move. Bailey Hongzhuang defeated her. She looked down so much on the cultivators of the Kanglan College, but now she was defeated by the other party with a simple move. What an irony! The onlookers were also stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Jinglin were both beauties, and there were many people who were watching their battle. They thought that Beihai College had been pressing on the head of the Kanglan College, and the result of this competition should be Lu Jinglin's victory. Chapter 7:17. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked down the stage and returned to the position of the Kanglan College team. Among all the people on the stage, she was the fastest to finish the battle, while the other cultivators on the stage were still fighting in full swing. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had finished the battle so quickly, and there was a hint of surprise in their eyes. Although they had long known that Bailey Hongzhuang would not lose this battle, but to end the battle in just one move was a bit too shocking. Isn't it said that the cultivators of the Kanglan College are very weak? Bailey Hongzhuang defeated Lu Jinglin in just one move. How can this be called weak? Some civilians could not help but talk after seeing this scene. For a long time, under the influence of Lingyin College, they only thought that the Kanglan College was just a facade and did not have much strength at all. They even thought that the Kanglan College should be directly banned, and continuing to exist like this would only lead people astray. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's battle had obviously changed their views. Defeating the enemy in one move, this proved that her strength was not just a little bit stronger than Lu Jinglin's. That's not necessarily the case. Maybe Lu Jinglin's strength is too weak. Look at the other stages, which one of them failed so easily. You are right, this Lu Jingqi is too weak. Lu Jinglin's mood was extremely low, and after hearing the discussion of the crowd, her face became even uglier, as if she had become worthless. This made her, who had always been very proud, feel extremely frustrated. When she was at Beihai College, she was a genius that everyone sought after. Now she was said to be too weak. This was a fatal blow. Emo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu obviously did not think that Lu Jinglin would be defeated in just one move. This was really a loss of face for Beihai College. The two of them were too lazy to pay attention to Lu Jinglin. Even if she was going to lose, at least she should lose in a good way. Lu Jinglin's way of losing was tantamount to a naked slap in the face. Previously, they were still clamoring that the Kanglin College would be at the bottom of the rankings. Now that they were defeated in such a way, they had no face. Bailey Hongzhuang did not pay any attention to Lu Jinglin as her gaze landed on the other stages. Gong Shaoqing's strength was not bad. At this moment, he was suppressing his opponent. She believed that Gong Shaoqing would be able to end this battle soon. Dongfang Yu's situation was also quite optimistic. Although his opponent's strength was also very valiant and the two of them were evenly matched, from the confident smile on Dongfang Yu's face, one could tell that he was very confident in his victory. Zhang Yunfeng and Bai Junyu's situation was not very optimistic. Zhang Yunfeng's opponent was Nangong Yu'er. Although Nangong Yu'er was the third princess of the royal family, her strength was not exaggerated. To be able to represent Lingyin College in the college tournament, she naturally had some ability. Zhang Yunfeng's strength was already quite good, but Nangong Yu'er was clearly superior, suppressing Zhang Yunfeng in all aspects. "Master, I'm afraid Zhang Yunfeng is going to fail," Xiao He said slowly. "Zhang Yunfeng hasn't displayed her full strength yet." Chapter 7:18. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Xiao He and Xiao Bai's judgment was not wrong. Nangong Yu'er's strength had broken through to the innate realm. Sure enough, the royal family's support was not simple. In fact, under the accumulation of the rich resources of the royal family, as long as the cultivator's talent was good, their strength would not be bad. In contrast, Nangong Yujin was the weakest of the royal family's people. His sister had broken through to the innate realm, but he had not. She was afraid that Nangong Yujin had put all his energy into the matter of robbing women. Since the incident that day, she also knew a little more about Nangong Yujin. The third prince of the Qing dynasty was famous for being a playboy. Not only did he often wander in the brothel, but he would also take away some beautiful women on the street directly. It was precisely because of this that Nangong Yujin's reputation was not good in the Qing dynasty. But because of his identity as the third prince, no one dared to say anything. Although the second prince Nangong Xiujia was a little better than Nangong Yujin, it was not much better. On the contrary, the crown prince Nangong Aochin was very popular. Not only was his strength tyrannical, but he also cultivated hard and never did such things. Boom! With a heavy blow from Nangong Yu'er, Zhang Yunfeng was directly attacked and fell directly from the platform, announcing the end of the battle. After winning, Nangong Yu'er looked directly at Bailey Hongzhuang under the high platform. She raised her chin slightly, and her face was full of provocation. "Master, this Nangong Yu'er seems to be very unhappy with you." Xiao He's eyes flashed with a puzzled light. Nangong Yu'er's attitude was obviously provocative, but when did the master offend Nangong Yu'er? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged her shoulders. Her expression was full of innocence. She did not understand why Nangong Yu'er had such an attitude. Finally, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes fell on the platform where Xia Jiqing was. Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi could be said to be evenly matched. Since the fight had reached its climax, the two did not give in and ruthlessly attacked each other's vital points. The enmity between the two of them had long been deep. Now that they had met, they were like fire and water. Pa! Xia Jiqing's long whip fiercely waved towards Lu Jingqi. This fiery red long whip was the long whip that Xia Jiqing had taken a fancy to in Wubao Pavilion but had never bought it. After Bailey Hongzhuang saw the love in Xia Jiqing's eyes, she bought the long whip. Today, Xia Jiqing directly used the long whip to participate in the competition. Lu Jingqi held the sword and did not hesitate to attack Xia Jiqing. However, the long whip in Xia Jiqing's hand seemed to have come alive. She waved her right hand and directly entangled Lu Jingqi's long sword. Seeing this, Lu Jingqi did not panic. Her elemental energy continuously flowed into the long sword, and then the long whip's restraint on her weapon was undone. The two of them fought back and forth, but no one could do anything to the other. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was paying attention to the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi, Gong Shaoqing and Dongfang Yu had finished their battle and slowly walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Hongzhuang, you've ended the battle so quickly. Chapter 719. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Without waiting for her to speak, Lu Huayan's voice rang out. Hongzhuang defeated Lu Jinglin with only one move. This is a good start for our college. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo were in a good mood. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang, Gong Shaoqing and Dongfang Yu had won, this result was already good. It was still uncertain who would win between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi. If Xia Jiqing could win, then 4 people from Kanglan College would advance in the first round. Compared to the situation of the previous 2 academy exchange meetings, this time was much better. Zhang Yunfeng, Bai Junyu and Cui Haoyan's faces were full of frustration. They had not passed the first round. Mentor, I'm sorry. The mood of the 3 people was very low. They thought that they could get a good result in the exchange, but they did not think that they would not pass the first round. Their hearts were naturally uncomfortable. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba's eyes flashed with love. They patted the 3 people on the shoulders and comforted them. There are winners and losers in the competition. Don't think too much. The strength of the practitioners of Lingyin College and Beihai College was not weak. The failure of Zhang Yunfeng and the others was not entirely because they were not strong enough. The bigger reason was that their opponents were too strong. Zhang Yunfeng was injured. Fu Hongbo took out the medicine that he had already prepared and gave it to Zhang Yunfeng. Everyone's eyes once again fell on the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi. Not only the people of Kanglan College, but the practitioners of Beihai College were also paying attention to the battle. Now that 3 people from Kanglan College had successfully advanced, and 3 people from Beihai College had also successfully advanced, the result of the battle between Xia Jiqing and Lu Jingqi determined which of the 2 colleges had the advantage in the first round. The strength of Lu Jingqi seems to have increased a bit compared to when we fought in Longuang City. Gong Shaoqing judged this point after seeing the battle between Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing. Although Lu Jingqi and Xia Jiqing were tied at the beginning, it was obvious that Xia Jiqing was stronger. But now the 2 showed that they were evenly matched. Could it be that Lu Jingqi had hidden her strength before? I hope Jiqing can win. Zhang Yunfeng's eyes were filled with hope. She had already lost in this round. She only hoped that Jiqing could succeed. In this way, in the first round of the promotion, Kanglan College could occupy 4 places and have the upper hand. Xia Jiqing, you are usually so arrogant, but now I don't see how strong you are now. Lu Jingqi sneered and her eyes were full of ridicule. Xia Jiqing coldly glanced at Lu Jingqi and sneered. Lu Jingqi, this kind of inferior method has no use on me. If you really have the ability, why haven't I seen you defeat me? Seeing that Lu Jingqi to see through her thoughts, Lu Jingqi for a while to see through her thoughts Lu Hongba's was a. She had to teach a to the end to teach a to the end. She. But to her had she had been to it if an it. Chapter 720. Listening to Xia Jiqing's words, Lu Jingqi was stunned for a moment, then a mocking smile appeared on her face. Xia Jiqing, who do you think you are? It's not so easy to defeat me. Lu Jingqi only felt that Xia Jiqing was out of her mind. The result of their battle had not been decided yet, but Xia Jiqing wanted to end the battle with such a casual sentence. Could it be that her yuanqi was exhausted and she was out of her mind? Xia Jiqing's yuanqi surged, and a fierce light appeared in her eyes. Whip of fire dance! As Xia Jiqing's voice fell, under the horrified eyes of the crowd, the fiery red whip in Xia Jiqing's hand suddenly emerged with a strong flame. It was like a fire snake, flexible and fierce as it attacked Lu Jingqi. This flame was not a simulation. It really existed, because everyone clearly felt that since the flame appeared, the surrounding temperature had suddenly increased. Lu Jingqi, who was standing opposite Xia Jiqing, felt it the most obvious. Her forehead was faintly oozing sweat, and there was a touch of tension in her eyes. She did not expect Xia Jiqing to have such a powerful move. This move was obviously beyond the scope of yellow-level martial arts. It was at least profound level. As for what level of profound level it was not something that Lu Jingqi could judge. The most important thing was that she did not have such a level of martial arts. When the strength of the two was equal, the level of the martial arts was extremely important. Once she did not have a martial art that could compete, then she was doomed to lose. The faces of the students of Lingyin College also changed a bit. Previously they had laughed at how weak the cultivators of Kanglin College were, but now it seemed that the cultivators of Kanglin College were not weak, they were even stronger than the cultivators of Beihai College. This is at least a middle-level profound level martial arts. This Xia Jiqing is only at the mysterious heaven realm, but she can master a middle-level profound level martial arts. I'm afraid that Lu Jingqi will lose. In my opinion, the strength of the cultivators of Kanglin College is not weak. How can they be as weak as the rumors say? There were a lot of discerning people present. They weren't fools. In the previous 2 inter-college competitions, the results of the Kanglin College weren't very good. But this time, the performance of the Kanglin College was very outstanding. The faces of the students of Beihai College couldn't help but turn ugly. They had originally planned to crush the cultivators of Kanglin College. The best way to slap their faces was to make them unable to advance to the next round. However, the situation was far worse than what they had imagined. In fact, the other party's performance was even better than theirs. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu looked at each other. Their faces were somewhat ugly. They didn't expect the college to be able to hold their heads high this time. The strength of the students was not just a little bit stronger than the previous 2 batches. A faint and satisfied smile appeared on Huan Chuyou's face. The performance of Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest was indeed outstanding. Old Huan, I didn't expect there to be so many hidden dragons and crouching tigers among the practitioners of the Kanglin College. Jian Qingqiu's face was full of smiles. I didn't hear any news about these good seedlings before. Huan Chuyu smiled. The performance of these little fellows has also exceeded my expectations. Chapter 721. What he wanted was the strength to prove to everyone that his decision was correct. Kanglin College stubbornly persisted in the past beliefs and was bound to perish. However, the performance of Kanglin College had exceeded his expectations. No wonder Ren Tianxiong agreed so easily to hold the college tournament in advance. They had already prepared for it. Song Hongxi, the vice principal of Beihai College, was sitting next to Lin Yinghao. Among the present principals and vice principals, his face was the ugliest. He was also full of confidence in the college tournament. He did not expect that he would feel threatened in the first round of the tournament. Lingyin College was the first, so there was no doubt about it. But if Kanglin College ran ahead of Beihai College this time, it would be really shameful. Vice Principal Tsang, the strength of the student who was defeated in one move seems to be a bit too weak. Huan Chuyu said slowly, and the indifferent look made Song Hongxi's face gloomy. Huan Chuyu did not like Song Hongxi. Song Hongxi was the vice principal of Beihai College, but now he was like a dog of Lingyin College. All the power was in the hands of Lingyin College. As a cultivator, the most important thing was integrity, Not to mention that Song Hongxi was the vice principal of Beihai College. Under the leadership of such a vice principal, how could a student have a good future? In his opinion, Song Hongxi was leading the students astray. Song Hongxi was also spreading unfavorable rumors about Kanglan College everywhere. He was indifferent to fame and fortune, and had always been kind to others. But this Song Hongxi, he really could not stand it. Song Hongxi looked at Huan Chuyu with resentment. The reason why Lu Jinglin did not perform well today is because she was injured before the college tournament began. Now the injury has not fully recovered. Song Hongxi naturally would not let Huan Chuyu put the hat of not being strong enough on his head. He immediately found a very suitable excuse. Lin Yinghao pretended to be surprised. So that's the case, no wonder the result is like this. Since she came to participate in the college tournament, but was injured before the tournament began, it is too careless. Huan Chuyu shook his head, the sarcasm in his words was obvious. Over the years, Beihai College often used the power of Lingyin College to mock Kanglan College, making the enrollment of Kanglan College worse and worse every year. Even the mentors of Beihai College deliberately came to the countries near Kanglan College to find cultivators. Their purpose was to cut off the source of students for Kanglan College. This kind of thing had always made Huan Chuyu and Ren Tianxiong feel very disgusted. Not only that, just before the start of the college exchange, he had also discovered the movements of the people of Beihai College in Kanglan City. It could be seen that over the years, Beihai College had been playing tricks behind their back. Originally, Huan Chuyu and Ren Tianxiong had planned to ignore this matter, but now that things had come to this point, both sides had already shed all pretense of cordiality, so he didn't mind ridiculing them a little. After all, he couldn't let himself bear this disgust every time. It was better to let Song Hongxi know this feeling. Chapter 722. He couldn't say that Lu Jinglin was also injured by Bailey Hongzhuang before, right? Wasn't that tantamount to asking for humiliation? Therefore, Song Hongxi could only swallow his anger. In fact, Lu Jinglin's performance today was really too unsatisfactory. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the scorching heat spread out. Lu Jingqi's figure flew out and landed heavily on the ground. Seeing such a big movement, the onlookers couldn't help but exclaim. Even if they already knew that Xia Jiqing's martial arts were not simple, they didn't expect that the power would be so great. Lu Jingqi, who was previously on par with Xia Jiqing, didn't have the slightest resistance in the face of this move and was directly blasted out. A thick smile appeared on Dongfang Yu's face. Is Xia Jiqing using the inheritance she got in the ruins? Earlier, they had already heard that Xia Jiqing had obtained the inheritance of the whip technique in the ruins. Now it seemed that the power of this move was really powerful. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. It should be. In the past 3 years, they had already mastered this inheritance in the ruins. From the situation of Xia Jiqing's martial arts, they could judge her grasp of this martial art. However, this profound-level martial arts required a huge amount of energy, and it was very difficult for Xia Jiqing to display it with her strength. After all, the higher the level of the martial arts, the more power it required to display it. If one's strength was not enough and forced to display it, it was likely to cause irreversible damage to oneself. It was even possible that before the martial arts could be displayed, they would already be seriously injured. If she guessed correctly, the martial arts that Xia Jiqing displayed should be a primary profound-level martial arts, but because of the uniqueness of the martial arts, it was much stronger than the martial arts of the same level, so it was judged to be a middle profound-level martial arts by everyone. In fact, with Xia Jiqing's current cultivation, if she used a middle profound-level martial arts, it would not be Lu Jingqi who fell to the ground now, but Xia Jiqing. Lu Jingqi fainted directly under this heavy blow, and Xia Jiqing was also gasping for breath. Obviously, this blow had exhausted all her strength. Xia Jiqing wins. As the voice of the referee fell, a thick smile appeared on Xia Jiqing's face. She finally won. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly walked to the ring where Xia Jiqing was, and did not hesitate to put the energy recovery pill into Xia Jiqing's mouth. She had consumed too much energy, and there was still the second round, so she had to restore her energy as soon as possible. Hongzhuang, I won. Xia Jiqing excitedly waved her small fist. This victory was of great significance to her. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and gave her a thumbs up. You're amazing. Because of you, we beat the Beichen College. Dongfang Yu and the others were also overjoyed. After seeing Xia Jiqing come back, they all gave her a thumbs up. Jiqing, you're too awesome. You won. Everyone's in the first round, S in the first round, in the first round, ses est. S to S for heaven, S for S they S as T's. Chapter 723. Soon, the referee handed over the final result to Jian Qingqiu. After looking at the final result, Jian Qingqiu stood up and announced the result to the public. In this first round of promotion, Lingyin College's promotion is Nangong Xiujie, Nangong Yuer Jin Xingyu. Beihai College's promotion is Shaolanmei Shui Haolang Nanyang Zhe. Kanglin College's promotion is Bailey Hongzhuang Gong Shaoqing Dongfang Yu Xia Jiqing. With the announcement of the result, the practitioners of Kanglin College cheered. In any case, at least they had stolen the limelight in the first round. I didn't expect Kanglin College to be so powerful. There are actually 4 people who have successfully advanced. Our previous views were wrong. Damn it. I bet on Beihai College to win. Now Beihai College has lost in the first round. How can they be so arrogant? They are really shameless. If I had known, I would have bet on Kanglin College. Kanglin College has the highest odds. Long before the college exchange began, some people had already set up a bet. Because Lingyin College was the undisputed first place in the eyes of everyone, the bet was between Beihai College and Kanglin College. Beihai College's odds were 1-1, while Kanglin College's odds were 1-10. From this point alone, it could be seen how bad the strength of Kanglin College was in the minds of everyone. Even with such a high odds, most people still chose Beihai College. There were very few people who chose Kanglin College. At this moment, seeing that Beihai College was steadily suppressed by Kanglin College, the depression in their hearts could be imagined. However, they could no longer continue to bet. Otherwise, they really wanted to bet on Kanglin College. It was precisely because of this that Beihai College had become the object of everyone's criticism. The faces of Lu Jinglin and the others were ugly to the extreme. They were full of confidence. They did not expect that only 3 people had advanced to the second round. The number of participants was the least, and the possibility of winning was lower. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces were ugly to the extreme. They were extremely arrogant in front of Lu Huaiyan and Xia Jiqing, but now they did not even dare to look at Lu Huaiyan and Xia Jiqing. It was too shameful. Your performance this time is really too bad. Mo Xinghai looked unhappily at the group of students behind him. He had spent so much effort teaching them, hoping that they would be able to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Who would have thought that what they didn't receive was a shock? Lu Jinglin lowered her head. She was undoubtedly the worst out of all of them. She felt that the teacher could not help but look at her as if he wanted to eat her up. Lu Jingqi was still in a coma. The power of Xia Jiqing's move was too great. Even if she had taken the pill, she would not wake up for a while. Of mentor, we will definitely do our best in the upcoming competition. Shui Haolang clenched his fists and said. The humiliation he suffered now, he would definitely get it back from the hands of the Azure Water School's cultivators in the next competition. Lu Jinglin looked at Shui Haolang gratefully, because Shui Haolang's words had freed her from her previous predicament. Chapter 724. Mentor, the current result does not represent the final result. Xia Jiqing is now exhausted. It is impossible for her to perform well in the next round. Nan Yangze said slowly. Seeing Shui Haolang and Nan Yangze's statements, Emo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces looked better. Although in the first round of the promotion tournament, Kanglan College had more places than them, but the promotion tournament was held consecutively and there was no time to rest. With Xia Jiqing's current state, she would not be able to recover before the start of the next round. The result of elimination was already doomed. In the next round, such mistakes are not allowed. Duan Yingwu's attitude was tough. The strength of the students represented the strength of the mentors. If the students did not perform well, they would also lose face. Yes. Xue Haolang and Nan Yangzhe nodded together. They would do their best in the next battle. Compared to Xue Haolang and Nan Yangzhe's statements, Xiao Lanmei was as indifferent as ever and did not say anything. Emo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu were also very familiar with the character of Xiao Lanmei. Xiao Lanmei was the trump card of Beihai College. Even the third prince Nangong Yujin lost in the hands of Xiao Lanmei. It could be seen that Xiao Lanmei would definitely be able to enter the finals. Now everyone has an hour to rest. I hope everyone can adjust their state as soon as possible to participate in the second round of the promotion tournament. After Jian Qingqiu announced the break time, everyone gathered in the rest area to rest. There is only an hour of rest. I am afraid it will be difficult for me to recover. Xia Jiqing's eyebrows wrinkled slightly. Previously, she had used the dancing fire whip and her body was completely drained. Even if she took the qi recovery pill, it would not be able to recover in a short time. It was like a person who had been hungry for a few days suddenly had food, but he was already extremely weak. Even if he ate the food, it was impossible to immediately restore his strength. It was impossible for her to recover in 2 hours. An hour is really too short. Dongfang Yu frowned. Fortunately, they were not injured. Otherwise, once they were seriously injured, it meant that they would not be able to participate in the next promotion tournament. This method is too unreasonable. Zhang Yunfeng's face was full of indignation. In this way, the advantage they had gained in the first round had disappeared. Jiqing did not even have the strength to fight, how could she compete? This rule is somewhat unreasonable, but when it treats everyone equally, it becomes reasonable. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was indifferent. This rule was not targeted at them, but was applied to everyone, so they had no right to protest. The only thing they could do was to accept it. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone's expression changed. They were indeed unhappy about this, but Hongzhuang's words made sense. If the cultivators of the other 2 academies didn't complain, but they kept harping on this point, it would seem that they were too petty. Xia Jiqing's face showed a bit of helplessness. She had expected such a result, so she had not used her fire dancing whip.